Welcome to the ShedCast. This is the official podcast of Shed Sports. I'm Shed Noah, the founder of Shed Sports.
I'm Shed Barry. You can find me on Twitter at Barry's Plug. They call me Barry's Plug because I actually give Matthew Barry all of his fantasy insights. So, in case you're wondering how good Matthew Barry is, that's because of me.
Which is not very good to begin with.
Yeah, that guy's straight trash.
I'm horrible at fantasy, and that's why Matthew Barry's horrible too. I actually will be a periodic guest for this summer. I'm actually away in the middle of fucking North Dakota. Don't ask why, I'll tell you guys later. But after the summer's over, I will be back as a co-host pretty regularly, and I'm excited to be a part of the team.
Explains a lot. Anyway, I'm Tony Gambliani. Forget about your losses and go big on the next one. I'm telling you, we're going to find a real winner. And thanks for tuning in today to the ShedCast.
We're here at the Shed in the middle of Don't Worry About It, Illinois. On today's episode, we're going to talk about off-season news, new coach hirings, and the big four running backs. So let's get into it. First, we'll start off with the Kareem news. Jake, if you want to tell us about what happened.
So, basically, Kareem got in a fight inside of a Cleveland bar. Yeah, the police weren't really involved, but this just got to speak to his character. He was already seen last year kicking a woman in a Cleveland hotel, so we really don't have to get much too into that because I'm pretty sure everyone knows that story. But he was cut by the Chiefs right away, and Dorsey, who drafted him in Kansas City, is now in Cleveland, and he's given him another chance. But to me, it just seems like this guy keeps getting chance after chance, almost like he might just end up out of the NFL and maybe have to go play in the XFL soon.
Yeah, I don't really blame him, though. He's at a bar in Cleveland, Ohio. I'd be pissed, too. Who wants to be in Cleveland? I don't want to work there. I don't blame him.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Besides that, he's been given a second chance and all that, and he's not been handling these personal situations well. He's already suspended 8 games. I don't see this going well for him. If he has to meet with the commissioner, I could see him being out for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I'd love to see him get his life together and everything like that. But, since we are a fantasy podcast, this definitely does have fantasy implications. And I think it really makes Nick Chubb's case to be a, potentially top 6 running back just all the more of a question this year.
Hot take. Top 6?
Potentially. Well, you got the big four, who we'll get into later. And maybe a guy like Melvin Gordon or David Johnson with a new coach hire. Who knows? But, he was unbelievable at the end of last year. Really, if you could have got him on your waiver wire, you probably damn near won your league or had a really good, strong team in the playoffs. But, we'll see how this really all pans out. We wish all the best for Kareem. But, honestly, if you were picking at the end of the first round of your draft, Chubb might be the pick.
Yeah. That was going to be a sick backfield that they had.
Yeah.
And just offense in general. Just Baker, Odell, Jarvis, Njoku, and then that backfield, that would have been... don't get me wrong, it still will be insane, but
yeah,
Kareem is like a 4-dimensional back. He would add so much to that team.
Exactly. So, we'll see really what kind of comes out with that one. But
nothing might come out of it,
but
potentially. But, yeah, we'll see.
So, in other suspension news, though, Ezekiel Elliott. He finally met with the commissioner this past week to discuss his incident in Vegas. And another story that I don't know if too many of you are familiar with, but He was at a music festival in Las Vegas this past spring, I want to say, and got into a huge pushing match with one of the security guards. One person was on the ground. Zeke might have been tackled, but really no one can tackle Zeke, to be honest with you. So Zeke just can't seem to find his way out of trouble either.
I mean, he kind of lucked out, though. If you look back to middle school, all those pushing matches definitely got people suspended. So I think Zeke lucked out on this one, especially with his history, or his alleged history, let me say that, of pushing people.
Yeah, was that 2 years ago when
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, when he got suspended, almost on no evidence either. So let's bring that up. And he had evidence this time. Goodell could have really suspended him for more, but
well, this is the thing, though. If you don't have any evidence, I feel like the ceiling is higher on, what could have happened.
I agree.
Rather than, he was pushing somebody and there's a video, but that's the only thing that happened. When there's no evidence, you don't know what the fuck happened.
Yeah, and to me, that guy was kind of being a douche, too.
Yeah,
I
don't want to say he had it coming, but he had it coming.
So, with that news, though, the Cowboys also announced that they're unsure if they're going to, well, it's been reported that the Cowboys are unsure if they're going to re-sign Zeke during the season, which makes him potentially a free agent next year, which, he could get Le'Veon money or even more next year, or Todd Gurley money.
He'll be getting NBA max contract, probably.
Yeah. I mean, he's top couple running back.
Yeah.
I mean, you could probably list only maybe one or two other guys that you might want besides him, but, Zeke, behind that offensive line is just a very
unstoppable.
Yeah, he's just a monster. They're also getting their center back this year, who also missed all of last season, but we'll talk more about that later. Now, for off-season coaches, or off-season hiring coaches this year, we really got, a nice group of offensive-minded coaches coming really into the league. Kitchens was promoted from interim head coach or offensive coordinator to the head coach in Cleveland. Bruce Arians was hired in Tampa.
This is a hire that I really like. This offense is going to be cooking.
Mm-hmm.
Jameis Winston, he wasn't that great last year. I think this year he's going to be pretty fucking good.
Yeah. I mean, as long as he can keep it in his pants and, not be that asshole that Jameis Winston really is. Now, my mom watched Hard Knocks a couple years ago, and she mentioned how much she liked Jameis, and I just told her Google him. And really, nothing good comes up with Jameis Winston. So, he's heading into a contract year, so maybe we'll see him finally get his shit together. And hopefully he'll, grow as a person, because that Bucs offense could be amazing. Now, they don't have a running back, though, but
they got Mike Evans.
Yeah.
They got
Chris Godwin. They lost Deshaun Jackson this offseason.
That's all right, though. I think I'd rather have Chris Godwin.
Yeah, I agree. And they also have two solid fantasy-producing tight ends.
O.J.
Howard and Cameron Brate. Brate was amazing 2 years ago before they drafted Howard. Howard's been pretty good of late. I believe his ADP is the top 5 tight end this year, which kind of surprises me a little bit. But, O.J. Howard, the guy they called Juice, pretty fucking good.
Yeah, he's been getting a lot of hype. On Twitter, I've seen him just getting overhyped. Top 3 I've seen, which I don't agree with. I mean, you got Kels, you got Ertz, and then you got...
Hunter Henry is a guy that comes to mind. He had no contact really last year, so that's a positive thing.
Maybe.
He had torn ACL, but, he's had a year and a half to rehab that. So, the tight end market's very interesting this year.
Yeah. It always is. You always have,
Kittle,
the
one.
Yeah, you got Kittle. You always have, the top 2 consistent tight ends, and then, the rest of it's just a crapshoot.
Yeah, I agree. So, some other hires that we mentioned, Kitchens seems like a really well-liked guy in the locker room. I think that's a great internal hire by the Browns. Get the guy that the people like. Get Baker's offensive coordinator. Keep him. I think that's just a really, all-around solid hire.
I've got high expectations for the Browns this year.
Yeah.
At least the offense.
Yeah.
Baker.
Their defense is pretty good, too. They got some good linebackers. Got Myles Garrett, who can pick up a fucking house if he wanted to.
Yeah.
That guy is insane. But yeah, so keeping with the new hire coaches with the offensive minds, I think Kingsbury is a very interesting hire for the Cardinals.
I agree. That offense will be something to look out for. That offensive line isn't too great, but they have plenty of weapons. They got new wide receivers this year. DJ will be hopefully back to what he was. You never know with Kyler Murray. He could be good, he could be bad, but
Yeah.
we'll definitely have to keep an eye out on that.
Now, DJ's a guy that could be a very interesting fantasy case this year. So 2 years ago, he had the broken wrist, pretty much cost him his whole season, minus one half of football on opening week. He really was only used to run the ball up the middle. I believe he ran 70% of his runs were in between the tackles this past year. So, I mean, Kingsbury will get him to be able to bounce outside, but I think DJ's bound for a great year this year. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I could see it. I mean, it was 3 years ago he was the best running back in the league?
Yeah.
Or RB1?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no reason he can't be.
Yeah.
He has that ceiling. We've seen it before. I think it's just a matter of how productive that offense will be, what they decide to do with it.
So, what's your prediction on Kyler then? Do you think he's the guy, or do you think they should have stuck with Rosen?
I mean, you never know. I think they made the right decision going with Kyler over Rosen, though.
I agree.
Just because, I mean, he's just an athlete.
Yeah.
Rosen wasn't working out. I mean, that offense wasn't good.
It was the worst offensive football.
Yeah.
They had the second least amount of plays ran damn near ever, and the only team to ever have less was the Dolphins last year, who were a literal train wreck.
Yeah,
they fucking sucked.
You can't blame it all on Rosen, obviously, but after that, you have to move on.
I agree. An offensive-minded coach who had pretty solid success at Tech, kind of screwed USC over by accepting their offensive coordinator job and then just bouncing for the NFL. Which you may need to fact check me on this one, but I don't know too many coaches that get fired in college and then have a head coaching job the very next year in the NFL. He's got to, if there are any before him, there's got to be a very small list. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that doesn't happen very often.
Yeah. So with that happening, the Cardinals definitely have the potential to run a lot of plays, which is always exciting from a fantasy standpoint. They got a pretty easy schedule to start the season. The only team that really comes to mind with a great, solid defense that they'll play right away is the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
But, we'll see. I think the Cardinals can surprise some people. That division is not necessarily the strongest nor the weakest. The Rams are obviously there.
And with Patrick Peters suspended 6 games, right?
Yeah.
That offense will probably have to step up a little more than they would have been.
And they'll be on the field a lot.
Yeah.
Which is always a good thing because their defense sucks. So they'll be, grounding or running those little slip screens hopefully to DJ and maybe going deep to their new little white boy target, Anthony Isabella. But, we'll see.
Can't forget Hakeem Butler.
Yeah.
He was one of my top 3 receivers going into that draft.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I've got pretty high expectations for him. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. So, now that brings us to probably the most questionable offensive-minded head coach hiring this year in Adam Gase of the Jets. Now, Noah, you're a Patriots fan.
Correct.
So, what's your opinion of the Jets?
Oh, man. I love them because they're so bad. They're an easy 2 wins.
Yeah.
But that one year they beat the Patriots in the playoffs. So I was at that game, so I've got a bad taste in my mouth from that still. But,
yeah.
But they're still fucking shitty, so I'm not bothered.
I mean, they did bring in Le'Veon, which is also another interesting case because they paid him a lot of money. Personally, I don't think it's a great idea to invest in a running back in the off-season market, especially if you're going to pay him a lot of money. You can always draft a guy.
I mean, there's nobody like Le'Veon. I mean,
yeah.
There are people like Le'Veon, but you don't just get people like Le'Veon.
Yeah,
if you can, you do it. Because he can do so many things. He could line up as receiver for the whole year and still be like one of the definitely top 15 receiver.
Yeah, he's just quick, elusive, fast. I mean, I love Le'Veon.
It's Le'Veon Bell.
He won me one of my leagues a couple years ago, but he's just the fucking man. He can do it all. But that's good that they bring in a solid running back for Darnold.
I'm just worried about the offensive line.
Yeah, they did. Didn't they draft their offensive lineman this year?
I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure they drafted a couple.
I mean, that'd be smart if they did.
Yeah.
But either way, their offensive line is not close to what the Steelers was.
Yeah. And they don't have the same play calling abilities because, as a Bears fan, Adam Gase, he got the best year out of Jay Cutler, in my opinion, for the Bears that year. But he's just a horrible coach. He doesn't really know what's going on. He got in a huge fight with the then GM about signing Le'Veon. Then he becomes the interim GM, trades what I think was a pretty solid player for pretty much chump change.
Yeah.
And then they said, no, you're not the interim GM anymore because you just can't do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I just love him for being coked out in his introduction interview.
Yeah, what the
that
fuck
was a
was
funny
that?
day on Twitter. That was a great day on Twitter.
Yeah.
The memes were incredible that day.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing him on the sideline coked out and just getting some memes from that. That'll be pretty fun.
Yeah. That's definitely one thing that comes with football season that's unmatched really by any sport. Maybe besides the NBA, but just memeable moments.
Yeah.
You always get some great, funny content, whether it be the Browns intercepting Andy Dalton and giving the ball back to Marvin or Hugh Jackson on the sideline, or, just all the countless gifts of DJ or Le'Veon slipping somebody. But that's definitely one thing that the NFL will never disappoint is memeable content.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I'm pumped for the season.
Me too. I cannot wait. I think we got, 64 more days as the day
I
of
think
this
it's
podcast.
67?
Yeah, well, 64 until my Bears
63 to the opening day.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
So,
do the math and see what day we're recording this.
Yeah, do the math at home. Educate yourself a little bit. But, back on the Jets, they also hired, Adam Gase also brought his buddy along, Dowell Loggins, who I have absolutely no idea how this guy still has a job in the NFL. He's been Gase's right-hand man for a couple years now.
He's probably his coke dealer. Let's be honest here.
Definitely.
You
they
can't
were in
get rid of your
Miami.
plug.
They were in Miami. He probably had a good coke guy down there to bring him in. But seriously, though, Dowell Loggins, how the fuck are you still in the league? How the fuck do you still have a job being an offensive coordinator, let alone just being on some staff somewhere as an advisor or whatever? But the fact that Gase just brings him along anywhere just really, confuses the shit out of me.
Yeah.
But, he did leave some solid players in Miami, such as Kenyon Drake and Devontae Parker. So we'll see how they play this year under being freed from Gase's, tyrancy.
Yeah. I can't imagine they'll be too great, though. They got Fitzmagic at quarterback. I mean,
and Rosen.
He'll be making big plays, but he'll also be turning the ball over a lot, which will take opportunity away from Kenyon and probably a few other receivers.
Yeah. So we'll see about that. They also got Kenyon Ballage, who was a rookie last year, so we'll see how he does. But yeah, the Dolphins, we'll talk about them later when we do our division breakdowns. But man, he just isn't anything. Or the Dolphins' offense, I'd stay away from them entirely.
Yeah, except maybe Fitzmagic on a streaming basis.
Yeah, potentially if you're dumb enough to stream a quarterback on a weekly basis. But some people have to.
You could do it.
You lose a guy, bye week, something like that. Fitzmagic, they have a road game or they play at home maybe against Oakland or something. Yeah, definitely, because the Raiders are terrible too. But anyway, so we touched on it a little bit talking about Le'Veon and DJ and Zeke, but let's talk about the big four running backs in this year's draft. Now, it's pretty much an undisputed fact that Saquon, Zeke, Kamara, and Christian McCaffrey are the top four. Now, if you have a top four pick, lucky you this year, because
I'm jealous.
Yeah, you get an elite running back, then you're able to get, on the rebound, a solid wide receiver, whether that be, Mike Evans or T.Y. Hilton.
Mike Evans is probably the most underrated wide receiver.
I agree.
He's been, top 7 for the past 2 or 3 years? Something like that? Just something ridiculous. He's just, I don't know, I feel like he's just a smaller name, but he's very consistent with how he does.
Smaller name and a big body. That guy's huge. But, so, personally, though, everyone's got their own special rankings. For me, if I'm picking one, and if I'm in a PPR league, I'm taking Alvin Kamara pretty much every time. I know that might be a little scorching hot of a take.
How do you feel about Latavius, though? Is he going to take opportunity away?
I mean, to an extent, but I don't feel like he'll be taking away Mark Ingram touches. You know what I mean?
Well, I feel like
Latavius and Mark Ingram are. I mean, they're pretty much a similar player, just a power back.
Yeah.
Like, just Kamara's the man. He's gonna catch.
Yeah.
He's gonna damn near have 60 plus receptions, and you could take that one to the bank. That's a guarantee. That's a Tony Gambliani guarantee that Kamara will have at least 60 receptions. So you think about that. Maybe besides Le'Veon, he could lead the league in receptions as a running back. So that's the reason why I have him 1. And then I think I might, especially with the Zeke news coming out, I think I would take Zeke or Saquon too. I pretty much think it's a toss-up.
Well,
Now
you got to pick one though. You got to pick one.
Let's go Zeke because he's running behind that offensive line if you're in a standard league. But I think if you're in a PPR league, you got to go with Saquon just because Saquon's going to get way more catches than Zeke. And that's another Tony Gambliani guarantee because, the Giants are going to be losing every game by 25, 30 points. So they're going to need a guy that can slip out of the backfield and catch those little dump-off passes from Eli Manning or Daniel Jones.
Whichever one.
Yeah.
We don't know yet.
They're the same. I'm convinced they're the same person.
Yeah. No, I agree. It looks like those pictures of them at training camp, it looks like that Daniel Jones is just a cloned version of Eli Manning. Just a shitty clone of Eli Manning.
Yeah, it's like that Spider-Man meme where they're pointing at each other.
He's even making the stupid faces, too, like exactly like Eli.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah, I agree. And then, another running back, to round out my top 4, I have CMC. I know you like CMC a lot, so we'll let you get deep into him.
I got him 4, actually.
Really?
Yeah, so I got...
Wow.
I think at 1, I'm going Zeke. I mean, behind that offensive line, it's hard not to pick him. The only reason I wouldn't pick him would be of Saquon, but now defenses have a year of tape on him. I just don't see him being quite as effective as he was last year, but he still will be fucking elite. But Zeke at number 1, because that offensive line is great, and he'll lead the league in rushing again. Number 2, Saquon. 3, I'm going to go Kamara, because, you touched on that a lot. Kamara is a great fucking running back.
Yeah, and he runs with a purpose, almost.
Yeah.
He runs angry, and he's just so good downhill and bouncing it outside, and he can even burst up the middle. Kamara,
he can do it all. He can really do it all.
But
he's like that Le'Veon type running back where he could line up at wide receiver every play as a wide receiver and be a top 15 wide receiver.
He's got great hands. He catches every fucking ball.
Yeah.
That video that was on Twitter a couple months ago of him catching those tripod-looking things on a balance ball was absolutely absurd. And
it's absurd just to do that not on a balance ball, and then he does it on a fucking balance ball. I don't get it.
His hand-eye coordination, I think he might be the best pure skill athlete out of all the running backs, in my opinion.
I can see it.
He just does everything so well. He's fast. He catches like we just said. He even runs downfield. Last year, he had a touchdown call back on a Taysom Hill pass, who, as a former Camaro owner, Taysom Hill drives me fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to pick him on your team because he just doesn't simply get enough touches. But when they're on that 2-yard line and they run a damn near end around and Taysom Hill scores, that'll piss you off. Yeah. But, Kamara's just got breakaway speed. He's catchy.
But his quads aren't as big as Saquon's.
Yeah, so. No one's is. For Christ's sakes,
he's got fucking bazookas
tree
out
trunks
there.
are thinner than his quads. But, Saquon's the man. Again, though, the only thing that worries me about Saquon is the Giants are going to be losing every game by 30 points this year.
But, isn't that what they were doing last year?
Yeah, to an extent. But, that just worries me. Well, they still had a better defense last year. So Landon Collins and Olivier Vernon, who have parted their separate ways. But
even when they are losing, Saquon will still get his touches because, he's, no matter what team they're playing, he's the best player on the field.
Yeah.
Defense and offense.
Yeah, I agree. So do you have anything to touch on about CMC?
In a PPR league, he'll be good, no doubt. I just don't see him being as effective as those other 3 running backs.
Yeah. He catches a lot of passes. They did say that he was going to bring that I'm pretty sure Rivera said earlier this year that they're going to work on his touches a little bit, so that does worry me. But, out of the power 4, I think that CMC might be the least value, but he also has potentially maybe the most upside besides maybe Kamara.
Yeah.
I feel like he's got a really high floor, which is always a nice thing to draft in the first round. You really don't want to take many chances, and Kamara doesn't. So, but after the top 4, what do? You have the 5th pick in your draft.
You got to go running back.
Yeah, if you're going to go running back.
If you're in a PPR league, you got to go running back.
Yeah. I mean, Nuck Hopkins comes to mind, but I think at 5, I would still go running back. So, who do you take? Melvin?
I'd
DJ?
say I'd have to go Melvin Gordon. I don't trust DJ yet at 5. I mean, if you're drafting Melvin Gordon, there's a little bit of an injury concern, but you know that he's going to get his touches. He's going to do well. And you can rely on him at number 5 with that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, does have Eckler behind him, but that doesn't worry me any bit at all.
It'd be a good handcuff to draft, though.
Yeah.
If you do draft.
Yeah, probably like the 8th or 9th round, though, way
like
later.
Yeah.
But, I think personally, though, if I had the 5th pick, I might take David Johnson. He checks a lot of the boxes. He hasn't really been used a lot the past 2 years. His worst injury in his career was a broken wrist. And for a running back, that's not really a big deal. What you're looking for in a running back who gets hurt is an ACL or like an ankle, or a lot of leg.
Back.
His usage, back, yeah. But a lot of his usage hasn't been, or a lot of his injuries just haven't been a destructive injury that really worries me too much. So we'll see how that plays out. But personally, I think Melvin and DJ are T5. But then who's next? Would you say Le'Veon? Maybe Chubb now?
I'm thinking Chubb.
You really?
Yeah, I mean, if Kareem's he's already out 8 games, and Chubb's an elite running back. Let's call it how it is.
Yep.
The only concern there is how much work is taken away by Kareem, and then also Duke Johnson if he doesn't get traded.
Yeah, Duke's going to get traded though.
Probably.
It'll be interesting to see where he goes.
If Kareem does get suspended the rest of the year, or even additional games, I can see them not trading Duke.
Yeah, especially in a best ball league.
Yeah.
I think Chubb is a fantastic pick. He's going to have a couple 30-point weeks for you. He's can run all over the field. I remember one of his stat lines last year was he had 3 carries for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. I think at halftime maybe of that game, and he just can run all over the field. So yeah, Chubb's a good one. Le'Veon is the only one I think
I would go
out of the second tier of running backs, because you get your first tier, which are the big 4.
If we're talking just running backs at 5, then yeah, but I'd consider DeAndre Hopkins.
Yes, I agree.
Especially in PPR leagues, he's going to be grabbing balls left and right. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter if Deshaun Watson gets injured. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it don't matter.
He was wide receiver 1 with 4 different quarterbacks?
A couple years ago, yeah. And when you drafted him in our 3rd round of our league, that was a steal and a half.
Loved it.
Loved
every second.
But yeah, if we're just focused strictly on running backs, I think 5 is Melvin, 6 would be DJ.
How do you feel about Joe Mixon?
They just hired Zach Taylor, who haven't really checked up too much on him. I don't know how good the Bengals are. The Bengals have never really been good. So.
Yeah, that's true. He led the AFC in rushing last year.
Yeah.
But the offensive lineman they just drafted, I don't remember his name. He just tore his Achilles, I believe.
Yeah, he's out for the entire season. Yeah. Their first round offensive lineman
which is very unfortunate.
Yeah, thoughts and prayers. But we'll see. I think Joe Mixon might be the 7th or 8th best running back. But
would you take Joe Mixon or what's his name? Steelers running back.
James Conner?
Yeah, James Conner. Who do you take? Who are you taking on that?
Well, so it was reported that him and Jalen Samuels, who are going to maybe share the workload, but recently it came out.
I don't buy that for a second.
Neither do I. And recently it came out on SleeperBot. If you're not following SleeperBot or have the app downloaded, that's the best fucking fantasy app.
We're not paid by them.
We're not paid. That's a free ad. No free ads, but we'll give you that
free
one. Ad. But yeah, SleeperBot came out. I got a SleeperBot notification the other day at work, and it basically said that James Conner expects a similar role. James Conner was fucking phenomenal last year. People who were able to grab him pre-Le'Veon news had literally the biggest sleeper of the draft last year. He ended up being a top 10 running back when he was healthy. Sprained ankle shortened the season last year, but yeah, James Conner was an absolute monster. Yeah. And I don't know if you knew this or not, but he survived cancer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But by the way, just Fox, CBS, NBC, stop fucking using that. We all know who James Conner is. If you're a football fan, you know who James Conner is. Great story.
I mean, credit to him, though.
Yeah, drafted out of University of Pittsburgh. He's homegrown. Just all-around great player.
Great story, too.
Yeah. So do you have any deep sleepers that you maybe might be available around like the 4th or 5th round that you think could be a good running back?
For running back? This isn't really a deep sleeper, but Devontae Freeman, you can grab him in the probably late 3rd, maybe early 4th.
Depending on your league size.
Yeah, depending on your league. Behind a new offensive line, he's healthy. The Falcons' offense is going to be cooking.
He's never healthy, though. He always gets hurt.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Freeman's a dog, though. He doesn't have Tevin Coleman there anymore. Tevin Coleman's in San Francisco, which that running back carousel, stay the fuck away from that.
Or draft them all.
Yeah, or draft them all. Those are your two options.
You either get none or you get all of them.
Yeah,
there's no in between on that.
You got Breida, Morset, fucking
Jarek.
I
don't see him
he might not even make
much.
the team. But McKinnon.
But you got the three. The three that are going to be.
Yeah, and Breida, and Coleman. But
I could see Coleman being the breakout back because, I mean, Shanahan brought him in for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah, he was his guy in Atlanta. Shanahan was the offensive coordinator of the year of Matt Ryan's
he inherited everyone else.
Season.
He brought in Coleman for a reason.
Yeah, well, he also brought in McKinnon, too, but we never really got to see how he was going to use McKinnon. So he's got two of the pretty much, I think, McKinnon and Coleman are pretty much the same guy.
Yeah.
They both play the same. They both are pass-catching running backs. Probably when they were on their respective teams, they were nice to give you a solid 10 to 15 touches a game. So that might be a nice little flex appeal option right there for you. But realistically, I'm not drafting any of the San Francisco 49ers running backs.
I mean, I would consider it.
Yeah.
Like maybe in the 10th, 11th, 13th.
The price has got to be good, though. You can't be taking one of those guys in the top 6 rounds and expect them to be a constant option every week. Because those running back carousels always worry the shit out of me.
Yeah.
But that's just me personally. Go fuck yourself if you believe different, but that's just really how I feel personally. So now, some of my sleepers, though, I really feel like guys that you can get in the 5th round are Mark Ingram.
That's a good one.
All Baltimore does is run the ball.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
But I mean, defenses are going to, especially with Lamar Jackson, the defenses are going to know,
but
they're going to be running the ball all game.
Look at when the Redskins had RG3. Alfred Morris was damn near a 1,200-yard rusher.
That's true.
So, I mean, we'll see. The Ravens are going to be a nice, interesting case study this year.
It'll be fun to watch.
Lamar Jackson does. But yeah, other than that, do you have any other sleeper running backs that you want to bring up right now?
Let me think for a second. I don't know. Put me on the spot here. Honestly, I can't think of any right now.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe Rex Burkhead.
Yeah.
Sony Michel isn't too healthy. There's a lot of injury concern around him, and then I mean James White will be a consistent back there. But I mean they need an RB2. If Sony's not healthy, they need an RB2, and Rex has proven to be pretty good in that system. So he's not going to be drafted early at all. You could grab him probably 12th, 13th round.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll see all on that. ADP is all relative right now. We still haven't even had OTAs. Guys still get hurt.
Shit's going to change.
Guys get promoted. But
Shit's going to change.
As of now, Burkhead's a solid pick. White's a solid pick. Just again, those Patriots running backs always worry me.
Yeah, it's worrying, but I feel like it's settled down the past few years.
Yep. So since we've been talking about the Patriots, that brings up one of our first division breakdown. We're going to point out all the best fantasy options from each team, division by division, here every time we do the podcast at the end. So this week we're going to talk about the AFC East. Now, those of you who are directly challenged and don't know your divisions, which I don't know how the hell you've lasted this long calling yourself a football fan.
Just think left.
Yeah,
East is left.
Right.
It's right? Okay, left. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, just
look
right, and that's east.
We're still learning directions here in the shed, but we'll figure it out. But really, that's the Jets, the Patriots, the Dolphins, and the Bills. Now, the Bills are... Let's start there. Let's work our way south. That would be down if you're looking at the map.
Right. Okay.
So
But
The
wait, what if
Bills.
you're looking at a globe?
Well, still down.
Right, okay.
So, the Bills. Josh Allen turned
Josh
out to be
Allen
a
for sure,
solid
yeah.
fantasy quarterback
He's going to be
last year.
great. Yeah, he's going to be great.
And they added, a bunch of fast
Receivers.
pieces around him. I mean,
Yeah.
Cole Beasley sucks, but they
Yeah.
added Reuben Foster. Reuben Foster was great last year. Or Robert Foster, excuse me. Reuben Foster shouldn't be even in the league. But so they got Robert Foster, Cole Beasley now, Zay Jones. They got some explosive speed.
Yeah.
And Josh Allen, not only does he look good in shorts and have big hands, but he could fucking sling that ball.
Yeah. Who do you think is going to be top wide receiver there?
I think Foster. Cole
Foster?
Beasley,
Okay.
I don't know how Cole Beasley has lasted this long in the
Yeah.
NFL. He's okay, but he's not great. Like he's the great value version of what I think Wes Welker or really any of those like slot guys that you
Yeah.
think of the Patriots, like
Edelman.
Amendola, Edelman. Just he's okay, but also the Dallas offense has never passing game hasn't really been that good since Romo.
Yeah.
I think Prescott's extremely overrated, so we'll see really how good he is. But Cole Beasley, interesting case. Now, when you look at their backfield,
Who do they? Is
LaShawn
LaShawn
McCoy.
McCoy there?
yeah,
Okay.
but, I mean-
I'm not buying that. I'm not buying.
yeah,
I don't care what round. I'm not buying.
yeah. I mean, Shady was the man for a little while, but they also drafted Devin Singletary this past year. You go through their depth chart. I mean, Frank Gore, T.J. Yeldon.
Oh, shit. Frank
Frank Gore is older than my dad.
Yeah.
I think my dad's got a high school yearbook with a picture of Frank Gore in there. But T.J. Yeldon out of the backfield's pretty good.
Yeah, that could actually be a deep sleeper. And I mean deep sleeper.
Yeah, draft him with your last pick if you still
and
on
don't
the
even
board.
draft him. Just pick him off the waiver.
Yeah, but I mean the Bills don't really have too much offense that really excites me. Oh, they also signed John Brown. I'm completely forgetting about that. Who was a great fantasy option when Flacco was still the quarterback in Baltimore. He was a good, waiver wire guy that you could have added right away. They also added Tyler Kroft at tight end, so we'll see how that goes. That guy seems like he's always hurt, but personally, I think really the only there's only about 2 or 3 really draftable players on the Bills, and that is Josh Allen, John Brown, and Robert Foster. Okay. Zay Jones potentially.
He could be a breakout.
Yeah, he's got that cool
breakout.
levitate thing he does when he gets up off the ground. But other than that, the Bills. I think the Bills, they're exciting, they're fun, their fans are crazy.
Bills Mafia, shout out.
Yeah, shout out Bills Mafia.
Greatest fan base in football history.
Yeah, but we'll see how they do.
Yeah.
So now that brings us further south to Boston, Massachusetts, where we want to talk about the Patriots.
I think New York's up next. Oh, wait.
Yeah, it's...
let's just go to the Patriots.
Let's talk about the Patriots.
It's all New England, so we'll go to the Patriots. So, I mean, Tom Brady, obviously, he'll be draftable. I feel like he'll do better than he did last year. He's been posting videos on Instagram, on Twitter, about just off-season shit. He's been playing catch with Josh Gordon, so look out for him to come back.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'm pumped about that. He'll be back. Trust me, he'll be back. They got N'Keal Harry. They got Julian Edelman. I feel like this could be Demaryius Thomas if he makes the cut. I feel like it could be a big year for Tom Brady, bigger than last year.
Now, their tight end, they lost everybody's favorite, Rob Gronkowski, but they just replaced him with Benjamin Watson, who suspended the first couple games of the season. But I don't know. We'll see how the Patriots use their tight ends this year. The tight end's always been Brady's safety valve.
Yeah.
We'll see, though. So I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Rank the 3 Patriots running backs in order of fantasy value strictly.
Are we talking PPR or?
We're talking. Let's talk standard.
Talk half PPR.
Let's talk standard half
standard
PPR.
Half PPR. Okay.
That should be the set national standard. When we do our podcast, that's what we're gonna
half PPR. That's what everybody should be using.
I think personally, it's the best one.
Yeah.
So
all right, so I'll go half PPR first. I'll go James White. I mean, he's consistent. You know. And then Sony Michel, number 2. He'll be getting a lot of rushing attempts. And then I'm gonna go Rex Burkhead.
I think I would do the same.
Yeah.
So we talked about the Patriots. Who's the receiver you draft from the Patriots this year? That's probably Edelman.
Probably Edelman.
Yeah, I agree.
Look out for Josh Gordon though.
Maybe.
He'll be back. Trust me, he'll be back.
Well,
Sources say.
I don't know what your
Stephen A.
sources
sources.
are. Okay, sure. Maybe that's a Barry plug. Barry's plug source. Yeah. But anyway, so now that brings us, I guess, southwest to New York, where we're going to talk about the Jets. We brought him up earlier. Darnold's an interesting case. We'll see. Maybe as your backup quarterback.
I don't think he's draftable yet.
Neither do I. He'll be on the waiver wire.
Yeah, he'll be on the waiver wire for sure. I mean, if he does well, pick him up, I guess.
Yeah.
But, I mean, talking RBs, obviously, Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, Le'Veon's the man.
Draft him as a top 10 running back.
They also signed breakout player of the year candidate for like the past 3 years of Jamison Crowder. We'll see.
Oh man, I've been hyping him up for way too long.
We'll see.
But this year is the year. I'm telling you, he's gonna break out this year.
Yeah, I mean that's what everybody says every year. Like, we'll see. He's okay. I wouldn't sell the farm to get him. But that's just any player on the Jets though. Really, besides Le'Veon.
I mean, what other wide receivers do they have? They have Crowder and they have Robbie Anderson,
Quincy Enunwa. They signed Joshua Bellamy from the Bears, but that guy can't catch shit.
Yeah, I wouldn't draft him.
Honestly, though, I think they got a really solid sleeper tight end in Chris Herndon. He came on towards the end of last year a little bit. He was probably not a guy that you would start all the time. He was pretty solid in DFS because he was very cheap, and you could buy a cheap tight end, and that's always a nice thing to have. So we'll see how good he does. And behind even Le'Veon, some guys that might steal some touches. They signed Ty Montgomery. They still have Bilal Powell, and they also have Elijah McGuire. So they have some vultures back there, but I mean Le'Veon's getting all the touches.
You can count on Le'Veon getting his touches, even if he's like
Cancer and Le'Veon getting 300 touches.
You can see him lining up his receiver a few times for sure. So even if he's not in the backfield, he'll be getting touches. Yep. I'm not worried about that. The only thing I'm worried about with Le'Veon is the offensive line, which I'm not that worried about, but obviously it's not as good as the Steelers was. But still.
Let's head down further south. Let's go to South Beach. Where Adam Gase gets his Coke. Really, their quarterback department doesn't really excite me, except for Fitzpatrick, who you said you might want to like.
Yeah, you could stream him a few times.
Yeah,
maybe.
We'll
see. If he gets an easy matchup, if they're playing the Buccaneers, start him. Yeah. Definitely start him.
He seems like a guy that's just going to be around in the NFL forever.
Yeah.
So
he's always going to put in the work to have like 2 or 3 really good games a year, and everyone's going to remember him by that. So hey, Fitzmagic had a few good games last year.
Yeah, so hopefully he'll come through dripping again, and one of his teammates chains and clothes. That was an all-time moment last year.
Yeah. But going along with that, I could see Devontae Parker having a pretty good year. I mean, if Fitzmagic's out there tossing bombs like he should be, Devontae Parker's a pretty good deep threat, so I could definitely see him making big plays. Probably on a boomer bust basis, you could play him as a flex.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about their backfield. They've got kind of a clusterfuck back there. They've got Kenyon Drake, Ballage, and 2 guys that really I've never heard of, Myles Gaskin and Chandler Cox. So it's really a 2-horse race back there. Kenyon Drake 2 years ago came on during the playoffs, and damn near was a league winner if you had him on your team. He was playable every week down the stretch, had a couple great games. I am all in on Kenyon Drake this year. I think
so?
I think if you could grab Drake in the 7th round to be your 3rd or 4th running back, depending on your draft strategy, you could potentially have a diamond in the rough there.
Yeah, nah, if he's your RB3, then you're looking good.
Yeah,
for sure.
He's quicker than shit. He is good, and just the Dolphins never really used him with Adam Gase at all correctly, in my opinion, except for the time you burned your Patriots on the Miami Miracle.
Yeah, but shit happens.
Yeah. Again, Devontae Parker, they still have Kenny Stills. Not really too excited about him. Devontae Parker, he's been serviceable every year. Like, he's never been really terrible.
I mean, it's like a boomer bust basis on him. You just gotta, if you play him a week he goes off, then you probably win that week, but
yeah.
I mean, he doesn't have many of those weeks where he's winning you weeks.
Yeah, he's a solid flex option. If you're starting him as your wide receiver 2 heading into the season, you definitely have some problems. And you probably overdrafted at running back and quarterback and tight end. But we'll see. He's definitely a guy that you could grab in the later rounds. And again, a potential flex option, especially because he likes to go deep. And we know how much Fitzmagic likes to sling the ball. So anything else to touch up on the AFC East that we might have missed?
I think that should be it.
Yeah.
All right.
So we want to thank you guys for tuning in to episode 1.
It's going to wrap it up for this episode.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in.
This is Tony Gambliani.
And this is Noah from The Shed. See you next week.
Yeah, have a good one.